I was alone, wrapped in a blanket, watching an old black and white movie, when my daughter's college friend walked in from the rain. I hadn't seen him in years. What happened next wasn't just unexpected. It awakened something in me I thought was long gone. I'm 61, divorced, content, until that night changed everything. Hi everyone, I'm Jessica, the storyteller on the Adult Women's Tales channel. Here, I'll share stories about love, conflicts, betrayal, and infidelity within American families. These stories offer a deep look into relationships and the challenges families face. Stay tuned and explore with me. If you love emotional stories and want to uncover the hidden secrets in families, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you won't miss any of our videos. On a tranquil Thursday evening, the kind of night that envelops the house in an almost eerie silence, everything felt stiller than usual. The clock on the wall ticked steadily, matching the cadence of my thoughts as I settled into the couch, my legs cozy beneath a plush fleece throw. I found myself immersed in one of those classic black and white films, the type I adored in my youth, the kind that made life feel more straightforward. For nearly 5 years, this house has been solely mine. Since my divorce, I had become accustomed to the silence. My days were marked by cherished rituals, savoring coffee on the porch at dawn, enjoying long strolls with my neighbor's golden retriever, and evenings enriched by books, puzzles, or the gentle hum of the television in the background. That night, I had just settled into the latter half of the movie when I caught glimpses of those thrilling scenes that made me instinctively turn my head. There he stood, Jason, my daughter's closest companion from her college days. It had been years since I last laid eyes on him, not since he assisted her in moving out of our home following graduation. In those days, he was a delightful, youthful figure with warm eyes and an infectious laugh. Now, as I stood in my living room, damp from the gentle spring rain outside, he appeared transformed, older with broader shoulders, and wearing a calm, confident expression that was unfamiliar to me. "Mrs. Harper?" he inquired, entering with careful steps. "I apologize. I knocked, but I doubt you caught the sound. The light on your porch is flickering. I recently visited my family in town and thought it would be nice to reach out and see how you're doing, if that's all right with you." I blinked several times, attempting to regain my focus. "Is that you, Jason?" "Absolutely, without a doubt. Step right in. Please don't just stand there leaving puddles on my rug." He flashed that same effortless, warm smile and walked in. I passed him a towel from the hallway closet, and we lingered in that familiar, uncomfortable silence that follows unexpected reunions. He surveyed the living room, taking in the familiar old armchair draped with the quilt I crafted years ago, and the photographs on the wall that remained largely untouched since his last visit. "You look fantastic," he said, his eyes warm and gentle. "It's truly a pleasure to see you." I chuckled softly, tucking my Silver Street hair behind my ear. "Compliments? After all this time?" He let out a chuckle and gave a nod toward the TV. "Are you still enjoying those timeless classics?" "Some things remain constant," I responded. "Care to take a seat? Allow me to prepare some tea for you." We found ourselves in a comfortable silence, as if we were two old friends reconnecting after a long time apart, bound by an unspoken understanding. He shared details about his job and how he relocated to Denver, yet he still makes time to visit his parents occasionally. I shared with him the tranquility of my life, the captivating books I immersed myself in, the flourishing plants in my garden, and the charming antique shop where I dedicated my time each week. It was effortless and reassuring, yet there was an undeniable change in the atmosphere, a gentle transformation, a comforting glow in his gaze directed at me. It wasn't wrong, merely unconventional. It felt as though he recognized me not merely as his friend's mother, but as an individual, a woman, In a fleeting moment, he extended his hand toward the mug of tea I had placed on the table, and our fingers lightly grazed against each other. A gentle, unintentional brush, yet it remained. Our eyes locked, and in that fleeting instant, the room shrank. Silence enveloped us, as if time itself had come to a standstill. Neither of us withdrew right away. He smiled, a touch more reserved this time, tinged with uncertainty. "I should probably head out," he remarked. "I apologize for intruding on your evening." I gently remarked that you didn't intrude. It was delightful. Surprising, yet delightful. He rose to his feet, and I trailed behind him to the door. The rain continued to fall softly, shimmering under the glow of the streetlight. "How about stopping by again while you're in town?" I inquired, uncertain of the reason behind my question. It simply felt effortless. Jackson took a moment, then gave a slow nod. "I would appreciate that." As he ventured into the rain, I softly shut the door behind him. My heart raced with an intensity I hadn't felt before. I glanced back at the couch, the tea still steaming, the movie continuing to roll, yet an unmistakable shift hung in the air. I took a seat, gazing at the screen while my mind wandered elsewhere completely. A transformation stirred within me. A door, long untouched, had slowly creaked ajar, leaving me uncertain of the secrets that lay hidden beyond it. The following morning, I discovered myself savoring my coffee for an extended period, more than I typically would. The morning sun streamed through the kitchen window, painting the counter with warm, golden stripes. As I gazed at the steam swirling from my mug, memories of last night played on a loop in my mind. His voice, his eyes, the gentle touch of his hand against mine. It had been years since a moment like that took me completely by surprise. I reminded myself to keep it simple and not get lost in my thoughts. Kaysen was simply being courteous, amiable, and considerate perhaps, but not implying anything. Yet there was an undeniable presence, a sensation I hadn't experienced in ages. In all honesty, I found myself reluctant to let it go. At noon, I chose to engage in a productive activity to lift my spirits. I trimmed back my unruly rose bushes and tidied up the garden shed. While I cleared away the cobwebs, my mind drifted back to his visit. The way he gazed at me was not how one would look at an old friend's mother. It was observant and inquisitive. As I prepared dinner, the sky transformed into a gentle shade of lavender. As I placed a pot of soup on the stove, a sudden knock echoed through the house. My heart raced in an instant, and I reminded myself once more to avoid making hasty judgments. It was indeed him. Kaysen held up a brown paper bag and said, "Hope it's not bad timing. I brought some of my mom's delicious homemade bread. I thought it would pair perfectly with that delicious soup aroma wafting through the air." I blinked. "Step inside," I urged, my voice lacking a bit of courage. Absolutely the right moment. We settled into the cozy little table by the window, the very spot I typically claimed for my own. We dined and conversed once more, and the comfort from the previous night resurfaced as if it had never departed. Yet, this time, it radiated an even cozier warmth. He inquired about deeper matters, delving into my life post-divorce and exploring the aspirations I still held dear. I was taken aback by the depth of his listening and the authenticity of his interest. As I shared my dream of visiting a charming coastal town, he leaned in just a bit closer. He remarked on your unique storytelling ability. It brings a sense of tranquility. I overlooked that. A wave of warmth surged through my chest. It's been a while since anyone mentioned that I have a calming presence. Highly beneficial, reliable, absolutely. However, soothing. Once dinner was finished, we returned to the living room. The night enveloped us gently, wrapping us in its serene embrace. I set the mood with some smooth jazz, something soothing and laid back. We settled onto the couch, our proximity just a touch more intimate than the previous night. Jason gazed at the photographs on the mantel, nostalgic images of my daughter, alongside a cherished snapshot of her father and me, taken long before our love had dimmed. "Are you feeling nostalgic about it?" he inquired softly. "Being in a relationship, I mean." I took my time before responding. The question was incredibly revealing, yet there was something in his tone that instilled a sense of safety, prompting me to share the truth. "I long for the companionship," I expressed, the essence, a companion for late-night conversations. "However, I don't long for the days of being unseen." He gazed at me intently, truly observing every detail. Once more, I sensed it, the gentle energy that lingered between us, delicate yet impossible to ignore. "I don't believe anyone could possibly miss your presence," he remarked. That line, straightforward and gentle, resonated more profoundly than I anticipated. We stayed where we were. We kept our distance. The distance between us transformed, thickening with an unspoken, delicate, and genuine essence. As he rose to depart, I accompanied him to the door once more. The night air carried a chill sharper than the previous evening, and I observed him pause, uncertainty flickering in his demeanor. He mentioned that he's heading out of town on Saturday. "I would truly love the opportunity to see you again before that time. I would appreciate that as well." We lingered for a moment, caught in a silence that once terrified me, yet now quickened my heartbeat. With a smile, he ventured into the night. I stood at the door, observing his silhouette fade away down the path. As I stepped inside, I flicked off the lights, sank into the couch, and embraced the soothing silence that enveloped me. However, the tranquility had transformed into something entirely different. It was a silence that lingered. Saturday arrived in the blink of an eye. The morning sky was shrouded in clouds, enveloping my kitchen in a gentle gray glow. I navigated my typical routine, yet there was an unmistakable sense of unease, as if the very atmosphere was pausing in anticipation. I found myself stealing glances at the clock, ticking away the hours, pondering whether he would arrive before it was too late. I found myself pondering the significance of it all. Just 2 fleeting evenings had passed. All we had done was engage in conversation. Yet the emotions swirling within me painted an entirely different picture, a narrative I had long since stopped allowing myself to embrace. By midday, I had reached my decision. I wouldn't sit idly by. I crafted a lemon pound cake, reminiscent of the ones I used to prepare for visitors when the home was alive with joy. I placed it on the counter, stealing glances at the window more often than I'd like to confess. The doorbell chimed just after 2 o'clock. I took my time, even as my heart raced. As I swung the door open, he stood there, jeans, jacket, a hint of scruff on his jaw, and that smile I knew all too well. Yet this time, his eyes conveyed a unique blend of softness intertwined with uncertainty. He expressed uncertainty about whether it would be acceptable to stop by. "I aimed to respect your space." "I'm not," I replied, moving aside. "Your timing is impeccable." He entered with a deliberate pace, scanning the surroundings as if committing every detail to memory. I presented him with a steaming cup of coffee and a delectable slice of cake as we settled at the kitchen table, our proximity intimate yet just shy of contact. For a time, the dialogue remained casual, yet the gaps between us grew more pronounced than ever. In those moments of silence, a tension began to rise. "I have no idea what this is," he finally admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. "However, the last few days have seemed distinct." I nodded, my fingers wrapping around the mug in my hands. They resonated with me in a unique way as well. He paused, scanning my expression. "Is that all right with you?" It had been ages since anyone posed that question to me. It wasn't what I desired, nor what I experienced. It was simply a question of whether I was all right. I gave a nod. Absolutely, I am. We lingered in the stillness, allowing that raw honesty to permeate the space. I've always admired you, he said unexpectedly. From a young age, you had a remarkable ability to make people feel secure and acknowledged. Now, I perceive you through a new lens, not in the role of a mother, but simply as you. His words touched on wounds I didn't realize were still raw, locations I believed were permanently shut down. I extended my hand, softly resting it over his. He extended his hand, our fingers effortlessly intertwining. There was a calmness, a lack of fervor in the air, simply warmth. A comforting, consistent warmth enveloped my chest, flowing gently like a serene wave. I whispered, unsure of what comes next. I want this moment to linger, not for you to simply walk away as if it never took place. It doesn't have to, he murmured gently. I'll return in 3 weeks, possibly even sooner. Let's dive deep into a conversation about the possibilities that lie ahead. We lingered in that moment, our hands softly intertwined, perfectly content to let the silence speak for itself. As he prepared to depart, he paused at the door and turned back. Your presence has truly been the highlight of this visit. Before I could hold them back, tears filled my eyes, not from sorrow, but from an emotion I hadn't experienced in a long time. Anticipation. As the door clicked shut behind him, it struck me that regardless of what might unfold next, a transformation had taken root within me. I was noticed, acknowledged, wanted. At last, I was prepared for whatever lay ahead. The days following Jason's departure were serene, yet filled with a newfound sense of companionship. A transformation stirred within me, gentle yet profound, reminiscent of spring, gradually unfurling after a prolonged, dreary winter. I navigated my routines with heightened awareness and a deeper sense of presence. The flavor of my morning coffee was more robust. The atmosphere embraced a gentle warmth. The silence in the house resonated with a new energy, no longer void but brimming with potential. I hadn't heard from him in a few days, but I felt no concern. I had faith in the bond we created. I truly required the time to reflect on all that had been awakened within me. One evening, roughly a week after his departure, I was in the midst of folding laundry when my phone buzzed. Greetings from Jason. I've returned. I've had you on my mind. Is it possible for me to give you a call this evening? My heart raced, reminiscent of those youthful days when I was captivated by someone special. I was taken aback by that. At this stage in my life, I anticipated those emotions would be relegated to memories rather than something I still encounter today. As we chatted later that evening, it felt like falling back into a comforting groove. We engaged in conversation for hours, covering a wide range of topics, both significant and trivial. It was a remarkable experience to encounter someone unexpectedly, a blend of strangeness and beauty. The feeling of safety that enveloped me so swiftly was truly a rare gift. I often reflect on that moment we shared on your couch, he murmured, not due to its drama, but because of its authenticity. No words were necessary. I sensed your presence. I took a moment to absorb that. For an extended period, I found myself concealed behind an emotional veil. Charming grins, superficial exchanges. With Jason, the veil was drawn back, and I took a bold step into the light, raw, open, and full of life. In the weeks that followed, we maintained our connection. Extended phone calls, brief messages, and even snapshots of his dog or the book he was currently enjoying. Then, one day, he sent a message that completely halted me in my tracks. I look forward to seeing you again, more than just a single day. Would it be possible for me to stay over the weekend? I gazed at the screen for what felt like an eternity, not due to any uncertainty in my response, but rather because of its implications. Embracing that affirmation signified recognizing that our bond was more than a fleeting encounter. We were eager to dive into this together. As he stepped through the door that Friday evening, the embrace lingered just a moment longer. The quiet that enveloped us felt just right now. There was only authenticity, no facade, a profound and expanding love that flourished freely. We dedicated our weekend to enjoying the simplest pleasures, preparing meals side by side, strolling along the lakeside, and snuggling up on the couch to enjoy classic films. Yet beneath it all flowed a gentle yet unwavering current, drawing us nearer. On Saturday night, we gathered outside beneath the twinkling stars, cozy blankets draped over our shoulders, glasses of wine cradled in our hands. I once believed that I needed to present a specific version of myself in order to be worthy of love. I confessed gently, streamlined, youthful, and effortless. Jackson gazed at me, his eyes brimming with a sense of unwavering sincerity. He said, "You're more genuine than anyone I've ever encountered. That's precisely the reason for my presence." I gently reached out and caressed his face, allowing my hand to linger there for a brief moment. The creases at the corners of his eyes, the inviting warmth of his skin, the way he leaned into my caress. Everything felt authentic and rooted in reality. That evening, silence spoke volumes. We found ourselves enveloped in the serene intimacy of something fresh and exquisite. There was a distinct lack of urgency and no predetermined script to follow. Two individuals, each navigating their own unique journey, come together to uncover something truly extraordinary. The following day, his departure felt surprisingly painless. It was not a farewell. It marked the start of a journey we both desired to cultivate with care and purpose. As I stood by the window, watching him drive away, a smile spread across my face. Because love had not overlooked me, it had merely chosen the scenic route back. That's it for today's story. If you found it moving, don't forget to share the video with your friends and family. I'd love to hear your thoughts, so leave a comment below. Be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another story. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a great day.